What if I told you that the Maple Leafs might be eyeing a top-tier defenseman who's about to hit free agency? This exciting rumor has fans buzzing, and the implications for our roster could be huge. As we gear up for a potential playoff push, could this be the key addition we've been dreaming of? You'll want to stick around to hear all the details. If you're as invested in the Leafs' journey as I am, don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up to stay updated with everything happening in Leafland. Noah Dobson has been making waves in trade rumors lately, and with the NHL trade deadline approaching, it's important to dive into whether he could realistically land with the Toronto Maple Leafs. As a passionate Leafs fan, I can't help but get excited about the possibilities, but there's a lot to unpack here. The New York Islanders defenseman is just 25 years old and, as many of you know, is set to become a free agent at the end of this season. Last year, he had a breakout campaign, scoring 10 goals and racking up 70 points in 79 games. Those numbers suggest he could be one of the top right-handed defensemen in the league. This season, while his production has dipped to just 6 goals and 24 points in 46 games, Dobson is still highly regarded for his size and skills. At 6'4", he can dominate on the ice, making him a valuable asset for any team, including our beloved Leafs. However, as Elliot Friedman points out, acquiring Dobson isn't going to be a walk in the park. The Islanders are likely to demand a hefty return for a player of his caliber. It raises the question, are the Leafs willing and able to pay that price? The speculation is that the Islanders will want elite prospects or high draft picks, and with Toronto lacking a first-round pick in 2025 and not having many top-tier prospects, the math just doesn't seem to add up. So, what does this mean for the Leafs? Should we pivot our focus towards acquiring a forward instead? Names like Brayden Schenn from St. Louis and Scott Laughton from Philadelphia have popped up in discussions, and they might come at a more manageable cost. The reality is that the Leafs might have to choose between bolstering their forward group or enhancing their defense. Honestly, I'm torn. On one hand, adding a player like Dobson could significantly strengthen our blue line, giving us the much-needed depth and physicality that has sometimes been lacking. On the other hand, if we go after a forward, it could address our immediate scoring needs, especially in the playoffs where every goal counts. The stakes are high, and it's a tough balancing act for the Leafs management. At the end of the day, it's about what the team needs to win. We all know that the Leafs have a talented roster, but can they really afford to give up too much of their future for a player who may or may not fit into their long-term plans? The fans have high expectations, and rightly so. We want to see this team succeed in the playoffs. So, I ask you, what do you think? Should the Maple Leafs make a bold move for Noah Dobson, or do we focus on adding a forward? I want to hear your opinions down below. Let's debate the merits of each potential move and what it could mean for our chances this season. According to recent reports from Elliot Friedman, the Toronto Maple Leafs are narrowing their focus as the trade deadline approaches. With less than a month to go, General Manager Brad Treliving is under pressure to make a move that will bolster the team's offensive depth. The Maple Leafs have been linked to several intriguing names like Brock Nelson, Ryan O'Reilly, Jake Evans, and Brayden Schenn, indicating a clear intent to acquire a player who can make a significant impact. Now that the list is trimmed down, the question arises, who exactly are the Maple Leafs targeting? Let's take a closer look at 3 potential trade targets that could fit seamlessly into the team's lineup. First up is Jake Evans. At 28 years old, he represents perhaps the most affordable option on the market, with 11 goals and 16 assists. In 56 games for the Montreal Canadiens this season, Evans has shown he can contribute offensively while also providing solid defensive play. He wins over 50% of his faceoffs and excels in possession metrics, making him a versatile asset. However, there's a catch. Trading within the division, especially with a fierce rival like Montreal, could complicate matters. You have to wonder, would the Canadiens be willing to part with a player like Evans to help their arch-nemesis? Next, we have Scott Laughton. There's been a lot of buzz connecting Laughton to the Maple Leafs lately, and for good reason. At 30, he brings a wealth of experience and a more complete game compared to Evans. Despite some defensive struggles this season, largely due to the tough situation in Philadelphia, Laughton has tallied 11 goals and 15 assists. He also adds physicality to the lineup, with over 113 hits this season. Costing $3 million for this season and next, Laughton could be a reasonable investment. If he finds his groove in Toronto, extending his contract wouldn't be a crippling decision once the new salary cap comes into play. The question is, can he elevate his performance in a more competitive environment? Lastly, let's talk about Ryan Donato. This guy is on fire and has made headlines with his recent performances. With 8 points in his last 4 games, including a remarkable 4-point night against Nashville, Donato is clearly boosting his trade value. At 28 years old, he has posted 19 goals and 18 assists in 53 games with the Chicago Blackhawks. Numbers like that would put him near the top of the Maple Leafs' scoring charts. Donato's ability to maintain solid defensive play while contributing offensively makes him a compelling option for either the second or third line. With a modest $2 million cap hit and the fact that he's a free agent at season's end, he could be an enticing target for the Leafs. But here's the thing. Would it be wise to give up a second-round pick in 2025 for a player who might only be a rental? As a passionate fan, I can't help but feel a mix of excitement and anxiety about these potential moves. Do you think this was the best decision? Honestly, I'm torn. Each of these players brings something unique to the table, and it's crucial for the Maple Leafs to make the right choice to strengthen their playoff push. So, I want to hear from you, Leafs Nation. What do you think about these trade targets? Do you believe the Maple Leafs are on the right path? And you, what do you think? I want to hear your opinions down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on all things Maple Leafs. And make sure to activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates. Let's keep this conversation going and see how these decisions will shape our beloved team's future.